I'm going to show you how you can make any vase sitting in your storage room look like expensive stoneware. The style is inspired by West Elm's hand-dipped stoneware and Instagrammers everywhere. All you're going to need are thrifted vases. These are all glass, some paper cups, baking powder, and then some water-based paint. These are acrylics. These are just from Michael's. They're like $1 each. And then I'm using foam brushes because I hate washing paintbrushes and I can just toss them in the trash when I am done. Okay, I'm gonna start with these two first because I want them to just be solid colors. And before I try to do anything fancy, I just want to give it a practice on these smaller ones. I'm choosing these to be solid colors because they already have some design elements in them that I think will make them a little interesting still. So all I did was I poured about half of those little craft paints into this cup. The measurements online are in reference to 1 cup of paint to 1 teaspoon of baking powder, but I'm using far less than a cup, and since I don't like measuring things, I'm just going to put some in there, like a bit. And then I'm going to stir and see what happens. So the idea is to just make the paint a little bit more texturized. You want a pretty thick layer on there, so I'm going to hold it by the end here. You just start painting it on. Yeah, it looks pretty, there's some bubbles in there. You want it on nice and thick, so it gives it that terracotta textured look. Alright, we've got day 1 done. There's 2 coats of paint on these. They're looking good. I'm ready to move on to a little bit more complicated of a project. I don't have a ton of paint left, so I'm going to start with the white. I have a little bit more of that, and if I don't feel like the chocolatey gray is going to cover this whole thing, I may leave it blank for now until I can go to the craft store and get either some more of this paint color or a different color. Alright, since I kept my brushes in baggies, sealed and in the refrigerator, and press and seal on my cups, I can just pick up where I left off. I am not going to tape this off. If you're a perfectionist, that's certainly something you could do. I think especially with this style, things are a little imperfect, so I'm going to do it that way and hope for the best. I should probably use a thinner brush, but you only live once. In the interest of attention spans, I am going to speed this way up. One thing that I was told is that if you are trying to keep a steady hand when painting kind of a detailed or straight line, or in this case a curvy line, is to breathe like you're doing yoga. I don't know, I think it might help maybe, but either way, I like how these turned out. Also, keep in mind that your lines do not have to be perfect. It's supposed to look like hand-painted clay, which would not be a perfectly straight line. I love this.
What are you making?
I am turning these glass vases to look like they're pottery.
Like they're clay.
They're clay, that's right.
Like Harry Potter.
Like Harry Potter. Sure.
Wait, wait, why? I don't know why I said Harry Potter.
I don't either, but it was cute.
I thought you said Harry Potter.
No. Pottery.
Oh, that one looks like clay when it dries up.
Uh-huh. Isn't that neat?
Uh-huh. That one does look like.
Uh-huh.
Is it clay though?
Nope, it's just glass. It's just like one of these. So I took this, something like this, and made it look like that.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know that this isn't clay or this?
Now this one is very wet. They're all wet, but these 2 are very wet, so make sure you're not poking at them.
I can't believe that's so smart.
That's great, Mick. Thank you. So sweet. I started to run low on the vanilla color, so just to be safe, I finished this blue one in the clay, and then I used what was left of the vanilla and added some definition to that, the one kind of in the background there that's mostly clay, just on the top ridges to help them stand out. Then I went to my garage and mixed up a more gray color using some leftover paint that I had on hand, and that's how I finished the pink one, and used that gray again on that cylindrical one that is kind of in the foreground that has not seen any paint on this point yet. And then the other part of it, I used the rest of the clay. It worked out perfectly. And here is our final product. As the paint dried, it kind of did some cool things texture-wise and color-wise. The gray added these like white streaks, which I assume is due to the baking powder, and if it had happened on a wall, I would have lost my mind, but here it looks amazing. You can see the texture in there. Project complete.